Welcome to EtherLink AI Insights, where we explore the intersection of artificial intelligence, business strategy, and human leadership. I'm Alex, and today we're diving into something pretty unconventional, an AI leadership retreat happening in Finnish Lapland. Our co-host Sam is here to break down why executives are trading their conference rooms for the midnight sun. Sam, when you first heard about this retreat, what caught your attention?
Honestly, the premise that you can't solve a leadership crisis with a PowerPoint presentation. This retreat, AetherTravel's AI Mind Quest, is built on the idea that executives need to fundamentally rethink how they lead in a world where AI agents become actual workplace teammates, not just tools. That's a massive shift, and it requires more than standard corporate training.
Right, and that's the key insight here. We're not talking about AI as automation anymore. We're talking about 2026, where AI becomes a genuine teammate. Can you unpack that a bit more? What does that actually mean for a leader?
It means your organizational structure and decision-making processes fundamentally change. When you're collaborating with an intelligent agent that can generate insights, make recommendations, or handle complex workflows, you can't lead the way you did when AI was a calculator on steroids. You need to understand how to delegate to an agent, how to verify its outputs, how to maintain human judgment in the loop. That's not intuitive for most executives who've never built an AI system or interacted with agents beyond chatbots.
So the retreat addresses that by actually having executives build their own AI agent during the program. That's hands-on learning, not theoretical. But I'm curious, why Lapland specifically? Why not a luxury resort in, say, Switzerland?
Environment matters more than people realize. The midnight sun in summer or northern lights in winter create a psychological space where conventional thinking actually breaks down. You're removed from email, meetings, the normal corporate noise. Pair that with intense, focused coaching and technical work, and you get genuine transformation rather than a nice getaway where executives zone out.
That makes sense. The setting is deliberate. It's designed to break patterns. Now, let's talk about the elephant in the room. EU AI Act compliance. That's woven throughout the program. Why is that such a big deal for executives right now?
Because the EU has positioned itself as the global leader in trustworthy AI governance, and that's actually a competitive advantage, not a constraint. According to the Stanford AI Index, 53% of global respondents trust the EU's approach to AI regulation more than the US or China. So if you're a European executive deploying AI agents, you've got an opportunity to build systems that are not just legal, but that gain credibility with clients, regulators, and talent. That's a huge differentiator.
So compliance becomes a marketing advantage. That's a reframe I think a lot of executives haven't considered yet. But here's my question. 88% of organizations are already adopting generative AI according to the data you mentioned. If so many companies are moving forward, what's the actual bottleneck preventing more of them from scaling?
Leadership clarity. Gartner research shows that executive skill gaps are the primary bottleneck for AI adoption, not technology. You can have the best AI platform in the world, but if your C-suite doesn't understand agentic systems from first principles, if they can't articulate a governance strategy, or if they're afraid of compliance issues, those systems stall. That's why incremental training doesn't work. You need a breakthrough experience.
So the retreat is positioned as that breakthrough. Let's walk through what the actual week looks like. Days 1 and 2 focus on vision and leadership mindset. Can you break down what happens there?
Each executive gets assigned a personal AI mentor for one-on-one coaching. That's crucial because leadership transformation is individual. Your challenges might be different from someone else's. You cover the foundations of agentic AI systems, deployment patterns, and the psychology of moving from command and control leadership to collaborative intelligence. Then there's a deep dive into the EU AI Act framework and how it applies to real enterprise deployments.
So you're building both the conceptual foundation and the practical understanding of regulation simultaneously. Then days 3 and 4 shift to building. You actually create a functional AI agent. That's not a simulation. That's real development work.
Exactly. And here's where it gets interesting. They teach something called the Golden Prompt Stack methodology, which is essentially the strategic framework that makes AI agents reliable and compliant. You're not just learning to ask an AI to do something, you're learning how to structure prompts, how to build guardrails, how to make sure the agent's outputs align with your governance requirements. By the end of day 4, you've built a working system, and you understand the architecture behind it.
That's remarkable because you're not leaving as someone who intellectually understands AI agents. You're leaving as someone who's actually built one and understands how to deploy it in your organization. What about the final stretch, days 5 through 7?
That's where the rubber meets the road. You move from build to deploy and lead. You're integrating your AI agent with actual business systems, you're creating governance frameworks specific to your organization, and you're developing the communication and change management strategies you'll need to roll this out to your teams. You're also learning how to audit AI systems, maintain compliance over time, and handle the inevitable edge cases that come up in production.
So executives return with not just knowledge, but a concrete implementation roadmap and an actual working AI system. That's very different from most executive retreats. Let me ask you this, though. Who is this really for? Is this for tech-forward companies only, or is there a broader audience?
Any enterprise deploying AI agents at scale needs this. That could be a manufacturing company automating supply chain decisions, a financial services firm using agents for compliance analysis, a healthcare organization using agents for patient triage. The domain doesn't matter as much as the leadership challenge, and the EU AI Act compliance focus is particularly relevant for European companies, but increasingly for any organization operating in Europe or serving European customers.
Right. And that's a lot of organizations. Now, I want to challenge something here, Sam. This sounds intensive and transformative, but it's also a week away from the office for senior leaders. Expensive, time-intensive. What's the ROI argument? Why should a CFO greenlight this?
Because the cost of not doing it is far higher. If you're deploying AI agents without executive clarity on governance, you risk compliance violations, reputational damage, and failed implementation. You also risk your best talent leaving because they don't see leadership understanding the technology they're building. And you miss competitive advantages, like the EU compliance as differentiator opportunity we discussed. The retreat costs less than a failed AI deployment or a major compliance incident.
That's a compelling argument. So the real question isn't, can we afford to do this retreat? But can we afford not to as our organizations scale AI deployment? That reframes it entirely. Before we wrap up, what's the one thing you think listeners should take away from this conversation?
That AI leadership isn't about understanding technology in the abstract anymore. It's about hands-on competency and compliance clarity. The executives who'll define the next decade of enterprise AI are those who understand agentic systems from first principles, who've built agents themselves, and who can articulate trustworthy deployment strategies. That knowledge gap is real, and it's urgent.
Absolutely. And if you're listening and thinking this might be relevant for your organization or your own leadership development, the full article on AetherTravel's AI MindQuest retreat is available at etherlink.ai. You'll find all the details about the program structure, the dates, the investment, and how to apply. Sam, thanks for breaking all this down.
Happy to do it, Alex. This is one of those rare moments where business strategy and personal transformation actually align. I think we'll see more executives taking advantage of these kinds of programs as 2026 approaches.
We'll definitely be watching how this evolves. Thanks everyone for tuning into EtherLink AI Insights. We'll be back next week with more conversations about AI, leadership, and the future of work. Until then, find the full article on etherlink.ai. Thanks for listening.